y'all. So test 2 review coming up. I just opened that test walk up, and it'll be due Sunday night.
What's that mean?
All right, so the first 4 I've already wrote on the board to save a little time. So number 1 wants to know if it's even, odd, or neither. So remember, if it's even, it's going to be symmetric to the y-axis. Odd, it'll be symmetric to the origin. And also I can check even and odd by how many times it's touching the x-axis. So y'all, this is touching it, what, once, twice? So that definitely makes that an even function, okay? All right, number 2, they gave me g of x equals x plus 2 squared plus 5. They wanted to know what the original graph I would start with, and then what shifts were happening because of those numbers. So since that's got the square up there, we would start with f of x equals x squared. So it's got to be one of them 7 basic graphs. And then what I'm focused on is that 2 and that 5. So the 2 is inside parentheses. That's going to move me left or right. And since this is a plus 2 being added, it's actually going to move me left 2 units. That was almost opposite what I would think. I would think you add 2, you're going to move right. But actually, when you add 2, it moves in to the left. And then at the end, the plus 5, anytime you add at the end, it's going to move it up. You subtract, it'll move it down. So this would move up 5 units. Now remember on this one, you click the parabola tool. When you click that tool, you click it into anywhere on the graph. When you put that on the graph, it's going to draw a parabola on there. But then remember, it's going to open up a box that has a horizontal and vertical shift on it. So on my horizontal, I went left. I'll move that over left on the -2. And then my vertical, I would move that right. So then it got on a, +5. So you're just going to slide that bar horizontal to -2, vertical to +5. And when you do that, it should draw that parabola over in this section. It shifted left 2 and then up 5. Okay. But you don't really have to plot points, you just got to pick the right tool.
For this one, you don't plot points. So would you suggest that we start at 0, then go to 5?
Yeah, when you click this tool and click on the graph,
It's
it's
gonna
automatically going to stick it right there in that center for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's one thing about the parameters in this section. You don't have to try to find the vertex and then the points on the sides, you know. All right, so number 3, they gave me f of x equals square root of x plus 9. And they filled out the first part, start with fx equals square root of x. So they gave me that. But then I got to figure out what that plus 9 is doing. And you always want to treat stuff under a radical like they're in parentheses. So that's going to be a horizontal shift, left or right. Since they're adding 9, this will actually shift left the 9 units. Okay. So anything under that radical is treated as if it was in those parentheses. Now this one, they gave you 4 pictures. The square roots usually start in the center here, but since we shifted it left 9 units, it's going to kick it over here and then make it go through. So although the graphing questions, you really didn't have to graph them by hand. 2, you just click the tool. 3, they gave me 4 pictures. And then on this number 4, all I gotta do is fill in the blanks. I don't even have to graph number 4 here. So they're giving me what? Negative, parentheses, x minus 4 squared plus 3. They're telling me I'm starting with the graph hx equals x squared. So I'm just going to start playing with all these shifts over here. So I'll play with this negative 4 first. So since that's negative, it's really going to go to the right 4 units. So I would put right 4 units. At negative, the only axis we've reflected anything across was the x-axis. So then reflect across the x-axis. And then shifted, that's positive 3 at the end, so that will go what? Up 3 units. So y'all have to trick on that, just being able to fill in the little blanks they're asking about and then moving on. Now we'll say, the reason I need to go right 4 first, because that first blank, the only options were right 4, left 4, up 4, and down 4. So it's playing with the 4 first, and then that last one, it's playing with the 3, up, down, left, and right. All right, 5, find the zeros. And they're giving me f of t equals t squared plus 12t plus 32. All right, so I'll probably factor that, but y'all can get that with the quad pretty quick, okay? The trick is to set it equal to 0. And then that does factor, so I'm just going to factor it. So I got a t squared in the front. That's going to give me a t and t in both of my parentheses. That 32 is positive, so anytime the last number is positive, both of these will have the same sign as the 12, which is both going to be positive. So how about factors of 32 that'll add, give me 12. And then it'll be what, 8 and a 4? Add 12, we'll try to get 32. And then on the rest of this is just getting these signs changed. Because factors and solutions always have opposite signs. So come in and set both of them equal to 0. Now remember, if you use that quad formula on this, it's going to give you the 2 answers I'm getting in a second, okay? So here I'm going to subtract A from the first one, and then subtract 4 from the second one. So 0 is what? Negative 8, negative 4, okay?
When you say use the quad, that's the quad function on your calculator. You just put in the
A, B, and C.
ABC.
So I put in a 1, 12, and 32. Or if you're not doing it by hand, if you're not doing it by hand, you can plug in your numbers into that, or on that calculator, just plug in that A, B, and C.
Yes, sir.
Anytime I'm looking at zeros, you can get that quad, okay? All right, let's see, 6. All right, 6, I gave you the graph. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I'm worried about is this is crossing right here at -1. and then it's crossing over here at 5. They're telling me this is the graph of f of x equals x squared minus 4x, whoops, minus 4x minus 5. So they want me to find the x-intercepts first and then the solutions. So just remember, on the x-intercepts, you gotta have both of them in parentheses and then separated by comma. So my ordered pairs, that x-intercept would be -1, 0. And just remember, on the x-intercepts, those y's gotta be zeros, okay? The second one crosses at 5, so that one will be a 5, 0. So now they want me to get the solutions. So 2 ways to get these solutions. Way number 1 would be able to hit that with quad. Or you can set it equal to 0. And then solve it by factoring. So I'll factor it real quick. Got an x squared, so that'll put an x and an x. Last sign's negative this time. Any sign the last sign's negative, one of these will be positive, one of them will be negative. So last one negative means you got unlike signs no matter what on these factors. And then factors of 5, that'll give me a 4. Well, you don't have but one choice for the factors of 5. That'd be what, a 5 and a 1? Larger number has the same sign as the middle, so the 5 will be negative and the 1 will be positive. So now it's factored. Now let's get these solutions. So x plus 1 set to 0, x minus 5 set to 0. See, on my first one, I'll subtract 1, and I get x equals -1. And then my second one, I'll add 5 and get x is a positive 5. On this one, though, I'll let you, if you realize that these are the x-intercepts and they're also the solutions, just put that in and be done, okay? That's the whole idea of that problem, was to let you know that anywhere it crosses that x-axis is going to be a solution to that polynomial. All right, so the fun one's coming up. Got 2 fun ones in a row. These like in 2 word problems, right? So 7 has the wire. So wire stretched from the ground to the top of an antenna tower. So here's my tower, and I got a wire. The wire is 30 feet long. Then it says the height of the tower is 6 feet greater than the distance D from the tower's base to the end of the wire. So they're calling this distance here D, and they're telling me that my tower is 6 feet greater than D. So it'll be a D plus 6. So they want me to find the distance D and then the height of my tower. Okay. So I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared is going to equal C squared. The only thing you got to realize is that this longest side over here always has to be the C. And it's always going to be the side across from what we call the right angle on that, or the 90-degree angle. I'm going to plug in, and this could be A and B. It don't matter which one's A, which one's B. So A will be my D squared. B will be D plus 6 squared. And then C will be 30 squared. So if you remember, the trick on this was foiling this D plus 6. do a little side work real quick. On that d plus 6 squared. This is probably where I get most people on this one. That's the d plus 6 times the d plus 6. All right, so following that, you get a d squared plus 6d plus 6d plus 6 times 6 is 36. The last thing I'll do to that is add like terms. So I get a d squared plus 12d plus 36. I'm going to replace the parentheses with that. So I'll bring down this d squared. Replace the parentheses with this. So we got a d squared plus 12d plus 36. Ooh, 30 times 30. It's like 900. All right, so several things I'm going to do to this at this moment. I'm going to add those like terms. And then I'm also going to subtract this 900. Because remember, I got to have a 0 on that side when I start hitting with the quad. So d squared plus d squared is a 2d squared plus my 12d minus, what's that, 864?
Yes.
All that is now equal to 0. All right, so y'all have the quad formula y'all can hit that with. That's probably what I do at that point. So let me see what I get. All right, so I'm just going to go quad. A will be 2, B will be 12, C will be a negative 864. That's going to give me 2 answers. But I'm dealing with distances. So since I'm dealing with distances, I will not keep any negative answers. Okay, because my tower is not going to be a negative 5 feet tall or nothing. So I'm only going to keep the positive answers on this. All right, so quad I have what, a 2, 12, negative 864. That should give me 2 nice numbers. I'm getting x equals 18, x equals negative 24. You know, like I said, I cannot keep that negative answer because we're dealing with a distance type problem, which means d is going to equal 18. So if d is 18, or the distance from the tower to the wire, I'll call it my tower. 24. So what we do, we'll take the 18 plus 6, got my 24, and then we're done. Okay? All right, then number 8 is pretty close to that, but to me, number 8 was easier because it was the latter one. I think that was trickier because you had to actually use that quad on the other time. Number 8 is a ladder. So I got a wall here, and I got a ladder leaning up against it. I didn't know that this base of this ladder is 7 feet from the wall there. Then it says the height that the ladder reaches on the wall. So they're talking about this height on the wall that the ladder reaches, and the ladder are consecutive integers. So that means that this is an x for that distance. Consecutive integers means the ladder would be an x plus 1. So integers are just positive and negative numbers. So when they say consecutive, they're talking about 2 in a row, 7 and 8, 8 and 9, or something like that, okay? And to go from one integer to another, you just add 1 to it, okay? So guess what? I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem again. This time, remember, C has to be that longest sine, and then the others don't matter. So my A will be 7, so I'll have 7 squared plus x squared is going to equal x plus 1 squared. So on the side again, I'm going to figure out x plus 1 squared. We ought to have a x plus 1 times the x plus 1. All right, so let's see, I get an x squared plus 1x plus 1x, and then 1 times 1 is 1. And then once again, I'll add like terms. So I get an x squared plus 2x plus 1. So that's basically going to be what's going to happen to my right side. So 7 squared, we know that. That's what 49. Plus my x squared is going to equal x squared plus 2x plus 1. So what made this one nice is you got x squareds on both sides. So when you try to move the x squareds to the same side, they sort of cancel all that, right? So that I get my 49 is going to equal to 2x plus 1. That's what made this one nice with those x squareds being gone. So it looks like all we got to do is what, subtract that 1 and then divide this. So we'll subtract 1. So 48 equals 2x. And then divide by 2 and be done. So that's my x, and let's see, 48 divided by 2, 24. But y'all be careful. This one does not care about the height of that wall. All they want to know is how long is that ladder. So the ladder equals the 24 plus the 1, which will give me 25. So remember, once you find that distance, don't stop. Add the 1 and get me the ladder, okay? I think we got that one on the final, but it has both spots. It has the wall and the ladder. So a lot of people were stopping early, so on the final they wanted y'all to get it right, I guess. All right, so this is what I learned. All right, they're giving me a graph. And what they're telling me is this vertex here is the point 2, 4. So they want to know what's the vertex, axis of symmetry, and then what is the minimum or maximum value? You don't even have to do no work on this because they gave you the vertex. That point 2, 4 is my vertex, so that's going to go right here. Now, beginning of that, they got all that. This is the graph of x plus h squared, whatever. Don't worry about all that. Just think you got a vertex there of 2, 4, which means the axis of symmetry is going to be x equals the x value, which is 2. Now, they don't ask about the min or max part, but it's definitely a minimum because it's a valley. But they wanted to know what is the min or max value. Well, that's the y value, which is a 4. Okay, so then you just gotta look at it and figure out actually the same between the min and max value. All right, this is true or false. The graph of h of x equals x plus 2 squared can be obtained by translating the graph h of x equals x squared left 2 units. So they're definitely going to start with the x squared graph. And then we just got to figure out, is it true that adding 2 is going to move me left, or would adding 2 actually move me to the right? Or that could even move me up or down. But since it's in the parentheses, and inside the parentheses, if it's positive, it actually moves me left. So that's moving me left. They say it would move me left 2 units, so that would definitely be true. All right, 11 is the big one. Let's see, they got f of x equals x squared minus 8x plus 15. I'm going to find the vertex. See if it's got a maximum or minimum, and the range, and then the increasing and decreasing. So this one goes through it all. So for the vertex, I got to get the x value and the y value. The x value is equal to negative b over 2a, which will be negative 8 divided by 2 times 1. So I'm just plugging numbers in like I did on the quad earlier. Well, in life. All right, so that double negative is going to make that a positive 8 divided by 2, which gives me a y value of 4. I mean, an x value of 4. I will now find the y value. The y value equals f of that 4. So put a 4 in for those 2 x's and see what we get. So I have 4 squared minus 8 times 4 plus 15. So let's see, 4 squared is 16 minus 32 plus 15. So y'all, let's see, 16 minus 32 is a negative 16. Negative 16 plus 15 will give me what? A negative 1. So my vertex is 4, negative 1. So you'll have vertex formula for that too. So anything that I deal with vertexes, you got a vertex program, just ABC on it also. All right, so that's the vertex. The x squared is a positive 1x squared. So that means I got a minimum. And the value of the minimum is negative 1, because that's the y value. All right, next I want to know the range. So the range deals with the y values. And I know my smallest y value is a negative 1. So that negative 1 has to be in a bracket because it is included in that range. So the range we look at from down up. So -1 is my minimum value, and it heads towards
Infinity.
positive infinity. And remember, infinity always has curvy parentheses on it. All right, then it wants to know increasing and decreasing. So the range deals with y values, the increase and decrease, and deal with the x values. So remember, we said that was a minimum. So what I'm looking at is that x value where it stops going down and it starts going up. So that had to be the x value of 4, right? So that's my line of symmetry right down the middle of that. So notice the increasing part is going to start at 4 on the x-axis. So you start at 4 and as you head towards infinity. Now, increasing and decreasing, always use the curves. So, if it's increasing from 4 to infinity, it's decreasing on this left side as you go down the x's. So where do the x's start? So negative infinity. And then this is going downhill until I hit the x value of 4. And if you notice, when you're done with the increase and decreasing, negative infinity to 4, and then 4 to infinity, so it's got everything covered. And then let's see, ooh, that's all on that one. So find the vertex by hand or calculator. And then everything else is going to come off of those answers you got on that vertex, I think. Let's make 12. Now 12 is a toy rocket, got shot vertically. So from a launching pad 5 feet above the ground, initial velocity of 112 feet per second. Don't worry about none of that. All you want is the equation they're giving you. The equation they're giving me is h of t equals -16 t squared plus 112 t plus 5. I want to know, when does the rocket reach maximum height? And then what is the maximum height? And then what is maximum height? Okay, so that is a vertex question. You can do it in the calculator. The x will be the time, the y value will be the height. And that's what this means. We want to know the height, and the height of this rocket depends on how many seconds or what time it was in the air, right? So I'll do it just like that. The x, which will be my time, equals -b over 2a, which is a -112. And then that's 2 times -16. So all these negatives will cancel and I'll have a positive time on that, okay? So basically, I've got what, 112 divided by 32, so I'm getting like 3.5. So that means 3.5 seconds, that rock has already reached its maximum height. So remember, that would be in seconds. So then I gotta find that maximum height. So to find the maximum height, I'm looking for the y value. So I'm going to be finding h of 3.5. So that's -16 times 3.5 squared. 212 times that 3.5 plus 5. Let me put that in and see what that'll give me. So get my 201. So I'm going to go 201 feet. Then it's going to start going back downhill, okay? I think that was in feet, right? Yeah, feet. All right, here we get off the Earth stuff. 13, find the domain. I got f of x equals a square root 2x plus 3. Domain of a radical, I'm going to take what's under that radical, 2x plus 3, and set it greater than or equal to 0. So radicals can have a 0 under there, so that's why we're using the greater than or equals on that. All right, solve this, we'll subtract 3. 2x is greater than or equal to negative 3, and then divide that by 2. So x is greater than or equal to a negative 3/2. Now remember, if I had divided by a negative, I would have had to flip that around. So I tried to keep it from giving y'all negatives on there if I could, okay? All right, so my domain will be x such that x is greater than or equal to negative 3/2. Y'all be careful when you're picking it because they switch these, they'll have a less than, equal, greater than, equal, not equal. So they're trying to throw curveballs at you. All right, this is my graph f of x equals square root x minus 4. So all I did on this one, I knew the square root started in the middle and made a slowly uphill graph. That's a negative 4 inside parentheses. When it's negative, it actually moves it right. So you're looking for the actual picture, which moves that thing right 4 units. Okay. So 14 and 15, we're both doing that. Easiest thing, graph them on that calculator and bang, 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 bang. We're keeping pictures, okay? So I wanted to get to this. This is a piecewise function, f of x equals x minus 6 if x is less than negative 3. 5x if negative 3 less than or equal to x less than 1. And then it's x squared for any x is greater than or equal to 1. Which equation would we use to find f of 1? So if I'm looking for f of 1, I'm looking at where does my 1 fit into them little domain ranges? Well, I got to use this one, right? Because it's got the equals, and this one says x can equal 1. I'll use the x squared graph. Okay, so they just wanted to know which equation we would use.
So which one?
So if I find an f of 1, 1 is equal to 1 or greater than 1, so I use the x squared equation. If it was less than 1 but bigger than the negative 3, I'd use the 5x. And then for any x is less than -3, I'll use that first one. Okay. All right, 17, they're giving me a picture here. And I got a parabola sitting over here like this. And all I know is that this point is 6.5, comma, 2.25. So, does it have a minimum or maximum? The value of that min or max. Then I'm looking at increasing and decreasing. Well, then we got a maximum because I got a peak on this mountain, right? So I've definitely got a maximum. The maximum value is the y value, which is 2.25. So see, they're still playing with you because now they're looking at y values and then the x values here, where before I had all the x values and then the y values. They're just trying to mess the order up on you. Increasing. What's going uphill on this left side as I come in from negative infinity until I hit the x value of 6.5. At 6.5, it's going to start decreasing. So at 6.5, I start decreasing as I head out towards infinity. All right, y'all, what's this? 18. H of x equals negative 5x minus 10 for x less than negative 6. It equals 4 for negative 6 less than or equal to x less than 4. And then it equals x plus 5 for any x that is greater than or equal to 4. They want me to find h of negative 9, h of 0, h of 4, and h of 6. So that's basically 4 problems. So h of negative 9, you got to figure out where does negative 9 fit, and y'all, negative 9 is definitely less than negative 6. So I use the first equation, which is negative 5 times my x of negative 9 minus 10. So what's that? 45 minus 10, which gives me 35 from h of negative 9. H of 0. So let's see, 0 is bigger than negative 6, but 0 is also between what, negative 6 and 4. So since 0 is in between those, I pick this equation, but it tells me anything in that range equals 4. So that's like a little constant section like salary pay. You can change the hours, but the salary pay is the same. Okay. All right, so next one is h of 4. So be careful. A lot of people pick this one, but that has less than 4. I need that one with the equals, which means I use the last equation, which is x plus 5. Put a 4 in for the x. So that 4 plus 5 give me 9 for that one. And then finally, when I have h of 6, well, 6 is also greater than 4. So take that last equation, put a 6 in for the x. So you get 6 plus 5, and that's what, 11? So y'all just be careful. They're going to probably use every one of them equations with one of them numbers at least, okay? And at least one of them is going to get used twice. Well, 19, they give me f of x equals 2x plus 9. I'm going to construct and simplify. The difference quotient, which is f, x plus h, minus f of x, all divided by h. So we give you the equations. So hopefully I can get that last one in, because it's doing this. Well, last one's on steroids. So the first thing you got to do, find f of x plus h. So take the f equation 2, and in place of the x, put in an x plus h, and then plus 9. Now I just want to simplify that by getting rid of these parentheses, by distributing the 2. So I get 2x plus 2h plus my 9. So there's no like terms there, so I really can't add them together. So I'm going to take everything and start plugging into my formula. So the h is on the bottom. I know f of x, they gave me that. That was 2x plus 9. I know the f of x plus h part because we just found that. That would be 2x plus 2h plus 9. So y'all, what's going to happen here? You got a 2x and a negative 2x. They're going to cancel. The h's don't cancel, but you got a 9 and a negative 9. Those are going to cancel. So I end up with a 2h over h. I can do one more thing to that, right? Cancel them h's out. So my final answer is 2. All right, so good. I think I can get this last one in because, oh, this is going to be the fun one. So they're giving me f of x equals negative 5x squared plus 2x plus 7. Once again, they want me to construct and simplify difference quotient. Which means I got to find that f of x plus h stuff. So here we go. F of x plus h. Now this thing has 2 x's in it, so I'm going to replace both of these x's with the x plus h. So I got negative 5 times x plus h squared plus 2 times x plus h plus my 7. So notice I still got negative 5x squared plus 2x plus 7. So did anybody save for my side work? What is a x plus h squared going to equal?
X squared plus 2h plus 1.
X squared plus, oh, you're doing the one from more go.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so replace that h with a 1 though. Actually, Yoda had these notes last Wednesday. So you get an x squared plus an xh, which I'll call an hx, plus an hx, and then h times h is h squared. So all I'm going to do then is add these two in the middle. So you get an x squared plus 2hx plus h squared. When y'all pull this on your test, it's gonna be the same. X plus X squared will always equal that, okay? So now I'm gonna plug it in. X squared plus 2hx plus h squared plus 2 times my x plus h plus 7. So all I did with that was replace it in there, okay? Next, I'm going to distribute a -5 right here and a +2 right there. So you get -5x squared minus 10hx minus 5h squared. So I'm multiplying all these by the -5. And then I'm going to do 2 times x is 2x, 2 times h is 2h, and then at the end is my plus 7. So sort of sad, there's no like terms in there. So all of that becomes f of x plus h minus my f of x, and I'll divide all that by my h. All right, so the -5x squared minus 10hx minus 5h squared plus 2x plus 2h plus 7. I know f of x because I gave that to me, -5x squared plus 2x plus 7 all over my h. But y'all, once again, if it don't have an h in it, it's going to cancel those first parentheses, okay? So the -5x squared minus a -5x squared cancels. That's got an h, I ain't worried about it. That's got an h, I ain't worried about it. That 2x don't have an h. So the 2x will cancel with the -2x. Not worried about that 2h, but that last 7 don't have an h. So I know this will cancel the 7 minus the 7. So let's see what that gives me. I got a -10hx minus the 5h squared plus 2h. So that's all the h's left divided by h. All right, so what's my final answer now? So I'm going to divide every one of them by that h. So that cancels this h out, so you get a -10x. Minus 5, you had h squared over h. That's going to cancel one of them h's, leaving a 5h. And then the 2h, that 1h cancels. So you know what to do. So let's take 1h away from everybody, and then that'll be your final answer. Woo, we went over about a minute or two, but we got that whole thing done. So questions on that? That is now open, and it'll be due Sunday night. So y'all got the week to play with it. But y'all remember, do the study guide first. The study guide will let you go in and you can leave and come back later and all that. But that test, once it's started, it's counting that time. Okay? So good luck on that. And Wednesday we start 8.1 stuff. It's not too bad. Got to give y'all something to do over the break, right? We'll keep it now though. How about that? All righty, y'all. So I'm going to stop my share.
So disregard that it was due yesterday.
What now?
Disregard that it was due yesterday.
Yeah, remember I'm off of my math lab dates are correct, but Blackboard's wrong.
Okay.
Blackboard's off a week, and we have no way to change them by now. So I think it was showing due last night, but don't worry about that. Okay. All righty, y'all. So I will see y'all Wednesday.
You have,